Well, Janet, it's about team and it's about developing a family-oriented organization that has allowed to get to where we are today and take us through this journey that we're going to discuss about here this morning.
Today is Yoni Epstein, founding chairman of Itel, a company that was born in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Yoni, you started out in 2012 with 7 employees. 2022, we're talking about 7,000 employees, 7 different countries. How were you able to manage this? I want to talk to you about the journey that it took you to get here.
Sure. Well, Janet, it's about team and it's about developing a family-oriented organization that has allowed to get to where we are today and take us through this journey that we're going to discuss about here this morning.
But what I've noticed though about your company is that you are people-oriented. People development is so much more important than the development of the company. In fact, I understand that your 7,000 employees are not part-time, they're not contract, they're all full-time employees. They get all the benefits that comes with it. How important is people to you?
Well, truthfully, this journey is a relationship, right? It is a relationship with our client and it is a relationship with our employees. And, the employees are the lifeblood of this organization, working from frontline up to middle management and senior management. And as you can see depicted here, without our team members, we really don't have a business. So the development of those individuals from the day that they come to the training that we give them, to the opportunities that we provide, to them, having the benefits to provide for their family, whether it be just, day-to-day necessity, to health care, to life insurance, to career development and advancement, to be able to build wealth amongst themselves. When we look at it and we say 7,000 employees, it's not just 7,000 employees. When you look at a multiplier effect that an economist would put on an economy, you take 7,000 and multiply that by 4 or 5 times. You're talking 28 to 30. Yeah, you're talking 28 to 35,000 people that we touch from this business, and that is a huge, not only accomplishment, but a level of responsibility for the organization, because it's not just one person that we're working with.
But something, Yoni, and I wanted to ask you this early, so we get it out of the way. You started out as a BPO company. Today you have dropped BPO from Itel.
Yeah.
BPO has been tarnished over the years as a sweatshop by many out there. It is obvious that this is not the case.
It's one of those things that it's situations like this and other areas where it's important not just to talk about the person who runs the business or owns the business, but to showcase what really the business does for its extended family, its team members. You talk about our 4 Ys: quality, integrity, reliability, and family. Family is the most important thing. Every single person that works for this organization spends on average 8 to 10 hours a day. You're spending more time with your work family than your real family.
Right.
So that whole notion of being a sweatshop or not providing for individuals has to be showcased and knocked away. And I think from our perspective, I can't speak for everybody, but from our perspective, I think we have achieved that.
I believe so too. I'm in total agreement with it. When I look around your office and I see, I'm not going to call this an office, your plant. When I look around,
we call it a campus.
All right. So I look around your campus and every single wall that I pass has words of inspiration, and you use a lot of colors too, So I'm believing that you embark on colors because you believe that color will also bring that sunshine, that energy that is needed when you get into to this campus.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's also big too is, as you said earlier, we have grown to over 7 countries. So when you think about born in Montego Bay, Jamaica, grew into the Bahamas first, then went into Kingston, right? And you just look at that and you start to evolve on cultures, because our culture is very different to the Bahamian culture and vice versa.
Right.
But we use that to benefit our employees. We took Jamaicans over to the Bahamas to get that office started and taught them the culture of Itel, and brought Bahamians to Jamaica to learn the culture of Itel here. And that's how we've evolved over the years, so that when we went into, I bought a company in 2018 in the US that had an operation in Mexico. Now you start to infuse the Spanish culture within the organization. And then we went into St. Lucia and bring the St. Lucians into it, and now Guyana and Honduras and Belize and so on. And you look at the melting pot that we have in the Caribbean, that also has been, not only the success, but continuing to evolve the culture of our company and the Caribbean.
So not only are you contributing significantly to the Jamaican economy, but you have also gone into 7 other Caribbean countries where you have employed so many people, and you are pumping the type of investment that is necessary in their sector.
Absolutely.
But outside of BPO, what else you do?
So, I mean, me personally, this is our main investment, right? But the reason we dropped the BPO is because Itel has become so much more than just BPO, right? So, we are providing service not only via the phone, but we're providing service via chat, via email, via SMS. We're developing technologies for our clients. We're providing exemplary levels of analytical services. So we have individuals and data scientists and software developers. So it's evolved to be so much more than just answering the telephone. And we've seen team members grow from starting on the telephone to being in executive management today. And that is also a big success, and shows the dedication of people and looking at the industry as a career opportunity and not just a job.
At age 42, what age you started, by the way?
Started the business, so I was, 10 years of 32. 32.
Boy, I tell you, I can't tell you how impressed I am. I'm very proud to see that man who was born in Kingston, by the way, moved to Montego Bay, and obviously you have made sacrifices and you have contributed significantly to the Montego Bay economy, helping to make it the gateway that we say it is, the fastest growing gateway in the Caribbean.
Growing up in Jamaica, I never thought I'd live in Montego Bay. But,
many people.
But our mutual friend, Adam Stewart, when he moved back here, he was here for a year, and I could tell just knowing the type of person he was, his mind was thinking, how can I get all of my friends
to come and live
in Montego Bay? Because he says, I'm stuck here, so I need to figure out how I can get my friends here. And I moved back to Jamaica from the US in 2004 to work for Unique Vacations.
Which is was his father's company at the time?
No, Unique is separate from them. They're the representatives for Sanos, but they ran all the reservations.
Right.
So I came back and ran the call center, started the call center, and that's how I actually got into the business and understood what was going on. And I was watching the local market and realizing that, while I had achieved what the mandate was for that job, I realized that we had a tremendous opportunity, not only in Jamaica, but in the region, which is why I then left and started Itel in 2012.
Congratulations to you again.
And not leaving Montego Bay for love nor money. It's been over 18 years now I've been living there.
I see staff from all over. St. Lucia, where is this?
Colombia, yeah.
You never mentioned Colombia.
No.
I don't recall you saying Colombia. And You just did a state-of-the-art campus in Kingston.
Yeah.
How many people are employed there?
So in that facility in Kingston, we have 1,400 employees employed at that one.
Wow.
And we're actually building a second facility as we speak in Kingston at Chalmers.
Wow. By the time you finish, is how many you going to have?
Well, so by the end of this year, we will have just over 7,000 employees. But
Right.
we have a massive expansion plan again for 2023, where right now we're in Belize through a partner, and we're in the midst of developing a facility there. We're looking at some other Caribbean islands. And
You're going to take over the entire Caribbean. Just tell me that. Let's go sit on the couch upstairs and you tell me further what
we're
it
going.
is that your plans are.
All right.
You have been watching West Side JA. We'll be right back.
All memorable moments include delicious food. Good food can transform the ordinary into extraordinary. We welcome more good times together, more memories we won't forget.
Rainforests always I make delicious moments.
I congratulated you earlier, but I want to congratulate you again for being named Nearshore America's Entrepreneur of the Year. What's that?
Well, you know, the Nearshore Americas is a publication that focuses specifically on this region
Right,
and the BPO industry.
right.
They've been a huge supporter of Jamaica and the region, Central America, South America, and really focusing on what we consider nearshore. Because you have, just for explanation purposes, you have far shore, which is India, the Philippines, Malaysia, you know, other Asian countries, Australia, South Africa, so on. That is all considered far shore.
Right.
And near shore is, you know, Caribbean, Central and South America, because obviously you don't have to take an overnight flight to get there, and it's a lot easier to communicate and traverse between your different call centers and vendors that you work with. But Nearshore Americas has been a huge supporter of just showcasing what this region has to offer, and they named me as Entrepreneur of the Year a few years ago, which is always great to be recognized, especially for the work that you're doing. Because, you know, when you start out as an entrepreneur and you go back to when we began, you know, we had these grandiose visions of being where we are today, but none of us can read the future, right?
No.
So through hard work, dedication, determination, building the right team, they obviously could see that from early and recognize myself and us for being, you know, that catalyst for growth in this region.
So that leads me to my next question then. What has led to your success? How it is that you have been able to sustain what you have been doing to get to where you are? And if you read any books whatsoever on leadership, what can you tell our young people?
So there's a few different facets that build success. Number one is your people. No question about it. Because, as I said earlier, without the 7,000 people behind me, Itel would not be Itel today. However, there are other aspects that are necessary, right, outside of the people. And number one is, as you know, Jamaica as an economy has been through a lot over the last 15 years, you know, where we went into an extreme belt tightening situation with the IMF to get our fiscal landscape in order. And while that time of austerity was very tough for Jamaica, it has actually set Jamaica up for the growth that it has seen over the last 10 years. And what that growth has done is allowed for the capital markets to be able to lend money to businesses and entrepreneurs like myself to grow. Because as good as we are with the people and getting business and creating opportunity, you need cash to grow. There's no business out there at any size that doesn't have debt or doesn't, look at having ways of giving equity to investors to allow for that growth. So I have to really also recognize the local capital markets that have entrusted Itel with their investors' money for us to grow. We've also done private equity where we've given up some of the company to Portland Private Equity, which is Michael Leachin and his group, and Panjam Investments Limited, which is a Jamaican family office investor, which has also allowed for us to grow because it takes cash to achieve. Yeah,
It takes cash to achieve, takes cash to care, takes cash to grow.
Cash is behind everything.
Yoni Epstein, there is an organization that I have come to respect. It's the Global Services Association of Jamaica. And I didn't even know that you were the founding chairman and that the objectives or the goals of the association when you just started out was to ensure that you upskill the people in the sector, in the BPO sector.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Sure. So, in 2012 when we started, nobody really knew about the BPO industry. It was spoken about in certain corners of business, but it wasn't well known. And at the time, nobody even knew who Itel was, or Yoni Epstein for that matter. So, when it was Chris Tufton, who was the Minister of Investment at the time, and he said that we need a BPO association to advocate for the sector to be able to allow for it to grow.
Right.
And Jampro at the time was leading the charge, and nobody was really stepping up to the plate.
Right.
So I said, well, although I'm just starting a business, although I'm just starting a family, let's just take on the world. Because I think this is the right thing for the sector. If you look at, the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association,
Yes.
that has successfully advocated for the hotel sector over the years, and PSOJ and Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, I said, we need our own. At that time, we only had about 15,000 people working in the industry. But I said, 15,000 people is a lot stronger than one company that may have 1,000 people. So let's coordinate and put ourselves together. And I think that's one of the best achievements as a private sector in BPO that we have done. Because if you fast forward to now, who Gloria Henry, who you know well, previous president of the association and previous president of the Montego Bay Chamber, as yourself in that matter, when we went into the pandemic, if we never had this association, our industry would have crumbled.
I realized that because you were able to remain open by sending home some of your staff to work from home and saving not just the sector but the Jamaican economy that would have really crumbled.
Yeah. I mean, Gloria was the first one to say we need to create health protocols before the Ministry of Health even came into the sector.
So you're the father of two and you're a husband. What does a normal day look like for you? What inspires you?
So, I think every day should start with a little bit of exercise. And I think that, we all, first of all, we need to take care of ourselves. We're on a journey, and our body is what is carrying us through that journey, and you got to take care of it. But not only that, it helps to clear the mind, allows for you to think, makes you more creative. And especially, not that I'm by no means saying I'm old, but I didn't have kids in my 20s. I had, our firstborn, I was 33.
Yes.
So, you kind of have to think, well, they're going to be getting older as we get older, and you want to be energetic and enjoy that with them. So, that is the start of a day. But, the kids are up early. And they are really the inspiration for both Lisa and myself. You know, Elle, who is 9, is these days into equestrian riding. She loves riding horses and jumping as her sport.
Wow.
And so that's her passion right now.
Yes.
And Aiden, who is 8, because they're 17 months apart, they're really close.
Yes.
He wants to be the next Messi.
He loves football.
Yeah.
His favorite team is Argentina.
Yeah.
Boy, that boy don't know what team to cheer for. But anyway, we won't get there. We won't go into the football. Me being a France fan, I mean, I'm not going to go into it.
We'll leave it there.
I'll leave it there. Mentorship. Who is your mentor, if you have ever had one?
You know, I have many. And I think that anyone in business should not put themselves to one mentor. You should have multiple, because there are so many different aspects of business, and everyone has a different opinion to things, and they've had their own journeys in business and in life. You know, one that I've met, I mean, I'm not in communication with, but one that I met that I found to be extremely inspirational is Richard Branson. You know, myself and Adam went many years ago to Necker Island, and we spent 48 hours there. And you think of Richard Branson as this big billionaire, hundreds, thousands of businesses around the world, and you think that he must never have time for anything.
Right.
But in 48 hours, we were both really amazed. We never saw Richard pick up a phone once or sit behind a computer. And I'm sure he probably got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and read some email or something, right? Because he can't not work. But he, I guess, has a very amazing way of finding good people to run his businesses.
And I think he's also what I would call an unorthodox leader. I've met him before. I even interviewed him years ago, and I was so impressed with him. But it's not my story today, it's yours.
But so he's one, just on the outside looking in inspirationally. Another one that I was very fortunate to work very close with was Butch Stewart.
Oh, yes.
You know, again, another maverick in business, but being very close and in the inner circle of that group was a lot of I've learned a lot of things. And, you know, I'm an individual, I never finished university. So I went to the University of Butch Stewart and Sandals.
Yeah,
and
hard work.
a lot of people went through that school. Some have been very successful and some have not made it. But like any school, you know, not everyone finishes.
So what high school you went to?
I went to Bel Air in Mandeville.
Bel Air in Mandeville?
Yeah. My grandfather was...
Big up Bel Air. They did a good job with this young man. They did a very, very good job with him.
My grandfather was in the bearing industry, selling industrial bearings to Alpart and Alcan and so on.
And he was friends with Butch?
So he was friends with Butch, yeah. But he, because being in Mandeville, and he knew of Bel Air, because it was started as an American, like the first American international school in Jamaica.
Right.
When we came back to Jamaica as kids, that's where they said, you need to go to school there. Because my mother didn't want to go back to Kingston. We were living in Ocho Rios at the time. So that's how we ended up at Bel Air.
What is your favorite meal? How do you have fun? Where do you go to have fun?
So, favorite meal...
Jamaican meal too.
Yeah. So it's slightly different, right? Because we know ackee and saltfish is a national dish.
Yes.
I actually prefer spice it up a little bit and do ackee and bacon. But you can't not have it without the Johnny cake and, you know, a little fried plantain and thing as well.
And what do you do for fun?
Fun, being with friends, you know, going out on the boat, fishing, going to the beach. That is my fun. I enjoy that the most. I just love being around people. Anytime Lisa travels, and she can't find me. I'm either over by Adam or Ian there or one of them. And she goes, why you can't just sit yourself at home? And I enjoy having my friends around me, you know,
Yes.
and that is what really makes life fun.
I know, and I would hate not to have friends around me because they really make a difference in your life. They do.
Absolutely.
They bring something else to life.
I mean, we all have our issues in life, right? Whether
Yes.
personally or business or there's always something going on.
Yeah.
But, you know, being with friends and making memories really helps to take you through tough times and the good times as well.
And finally, what can you tell our young people in Jamaica? Those who really need role models. I mean, we have a totally different group of young people now, and I'm sure you have some young people who work for you who you are learning from. But what can they learn from what you have done in your life, put to test, that would take them to the next level in their lives?
You know, I think firstly is determination.
Yes.
You can never give up because nothing is easy. I mean, I can tell you, even in starting this business, we had a point in time where we signed a contract and sent people to the US to train, borrowed money to build out more space, brought people back, hired people, and the people walked away from the contract.
Oh my God, that must have been devastating.
Absolutely. I mean, we went through a period where we weren't even sure if we were going to make it. And again, through determination and dedication, you ask, you know, people who are mentors. Mark Hart is another mentor of mine, who is also a shareholder in the business. You know, he stood by there, giving support and guidance, and helped us get through that period.
Fantastic.
And you know, you can't give up. You know, if you have a vision, go for it, and don't stop. But you must also take calculated risk. You can't just go after the sky. You have to plan your journey as to how you think. Build your business plan. Yes, it is going to constantly change, and it's never going to be a straight line. It's always going to be like driving through Mount Russell to get to Ocherias.
I haven't driven here in a while.
You go on the highway these days.
Yes.
But, you know, success is not about a straight path, right? There's always going to be bumps in the road, but you have to, you know, sit down, work with your team, plan your strategy, and execute that strategy to a T, right? You have to, you know, you can't just look at and say, boy, Janet look like she don't have no problems, everything all right, she'll grow her business and do her thing. You have to look at your own path and see how you're going to execute that. But dedication and determination is a big part of success. Or else, you know, if you throw in the towel early, you'll never know what you could achieve.
Thank you so much. It has really been a pleasure talking with you. I am constantly following you, seeing how well you're doing with what you do have. And, you know, I know there's a lot that our young people in this country can learn from you. So thank you for allowing me access. Just get a little bit about on what makes you who you are.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. And I know I stayed early, but I love you. I love your dress.
Thank you. Tamia Carey collection. I just love her clothing. She's a truly talented Jamaican designer. Thank you.
Yeah, man.